both seminal classics.
Yes.
And they're both Christmas movies, but kind of dark, kind of black comedy-ish, kind of. Gremlins. One of my favorite movies. Both of these movies are some of my favorites, but I would say like Gremlins is like one of my all-time top favorites. If I were to construct a list, Gremlins would be on that list.
Yeah?
Yeah, like all-time favorite movies. But it would be a really long list.
Be a long list.
But I think I would say it's comfortably in top 10.
Top 10.
I really love this movie. I was saying to Michelle, I love this movie so much. Like when I was a kid and I watched this movie, which is another thing. As a kid, should you be watching this movie? I don't know.
Oh, that movie's messed me up.
There's some pretty scenes. But I actually, not only did I have the movie adaptation in book form, but I also had it on a tape. You know, like they essentially read the book to you.
Mm-hmm.
And they would do, like, they'd have sound effects and stuff like that. So I had that as well. Plus, I also had Mowgli, it's hard plastic toy.
Yeah.
I had that. I didn't have the plush toy, and I really wanted the plush toy, but...
Gremlins kickstarted, like, this huge phenomenon, like, video games and comics.
Yeah.
And stuffed animals and toys.
And it's funny, because I was thinking about this when I was watching it. It's kind of interesting, because, like, if you look at Gremlins and Ghostbusters, the originals, so the first movies, they're a little dark, a little adult, a little kiddie. They're they're a little funny. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But it's all one thing. And then in their sequels, they veered more towards just being more PG and more funny, and they weren't really going to be a little as adult as they were. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I was like, oh, it's really kind of interesting how they did that. But then I started to think, like, it's almost all of the sequels have done that for the most part around that time period. 1984, I was 2 years old when this movie came out. The Gremlins. Or no, just Gremlins.
Gremlins.
It wasn't called The Gremlins.
Not The Gremlins. There's Gremlins. There's The Gremlins. There's animated Gremlins.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Which I never watched, actually.
It's not that good.
I didn't think
But then again, I was comparing it to Gremlins.
Right. So Gremlins. One of my favorite movies of all time. One of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
And also one of my favorite Christmas movies of all time. And why is it a Christmas movie, Kenneth?
Because there's Christmas trees and Christmas music and snow.
Yeah, there is. And also plenty of these fucking gremlins wearing Santa hats.
Yeah. In fact, I believe the Mogwai was a Christmas gift.
You know what, Kenneth? It was.
Oh!
It was a Christmas gift.
This is a Christmas movie. Straight up. So directed by Joe Dante, who did The Howling, Inner Space, Small Soldiers, and Gremlins 2.
I've watched all of those movies, actually.
Yeah.
I've watched The Howling, which is a crazy werewolf movie.
It makes sense why this is so scary to a kid now.
Actually, the Howling movie series in general is fucked up, but crazy cool. Inner Space, I didn't know he directed Inner Space. That's
a good movie.
That's a classic.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, that's the one where Dennis Quaid gets shrunk down to go inside.
Martin Short.
That's right. Archer spoofs that.
Yeah?
Yeah, fucking spoofs that.
Such a funny movie.
That's hilarious. I have to rewatch that movie, but I just remember being like, wow, this is a crazy concept.
Yeah.
So this is, like I said, one of my favorite movies of all time. One of my favorite Christmas movies of all time. Just, man, I love this movie so much. I love this movie so much that I actually didn't watch the whole movie. I only watched the middle chunk because I was like, I can't really remember the middle point, so I watched the middle chunk just to kind of be like, oh yeah, that's right. So like, even just having one of the Mogwai being given to the teacher, I forgot all about that scene, right? But anyway, so Christmas gift from Billy's father, who's an inventor.
Yeah. He's got the funniest inventions.
The funniest inventions.
They're so funny. When I watched this, I got to watch this on the big screen last year. They played it.
Oh, fuck.
So I went to watch it.
Where was I for that? I would have went.
I don't know. Where were you for that?
I don't know.
I did a double feature that night. I went and watched Gremlins, and then I watched Dune.
Oh.
For the first time.
Ouch.
I left halfway through Dune.
Well, yeah, because it's like a 4-hour fucking movie.
Oh, I think you were working
Yeah, I think so.
It was a Tuesday night or something.
It was a random one,
like
and I remember
a
like being
6:30
like,
or something.
"Son of a bitch!"
Yeah.
Because I would have went for Gremlins for sure.
Yeah.
To see it on the big screen, that was fucking.
That's the first time I ever got to see them on the big screen because I was too young when they
Oh
came
yeah,
out.
I've only ever seen it on movies or TV.
Yeah.
That's it. But that is one of those movies where if I'm flipping channels, I'm watching it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care when it's. And if, like I said before, if it's 10 minutes before the end, I'll finish it up, but I'll look for repeat showings because I'm watching that movie again. Yeah. Do I own it? No. Which makes no sense.
Yeah.
But I will. Now that I think about it, I'm like, yeah, I have to own it.
Yeah.
And if it comes in a 2-pack with a new batch, yeah, it's
New
going
batch?
to the new batch. I'll buy it anyway, even though the new batch isn't that good. It's still all right.
It doesn't come in a 2-pack. In fact, it's really hard to find new batch on Blu-ray.
You mean you don't want a shot of fourth wall breaking Hulk Hogan?
Nah.
I don't.
Mm-mm.
You don't remember when I watched it, and
even as a kid when I watched it, I was just like,
I didn't get it. I was like, what's happening?
Yeah. And
then when I got older, I was like, okay, so now we just acknowledge that this is a movie and it didn't really happen? Okay. I read the book that was based on that movie before I saw that movie. I'll be honest with you. So they cut out all the humor, right?
Yeah.
So it actually seemed like it followed in line with the first one.
Okay.
So then when I finally did watch it, I was like, okay, so this is just more played for laughs then. Alright, okay. It's still good. It's still a Gremlins movie. Plus you get that awesome, like, fucking Gizmo Rambo thing.
Yeah.
Which is just sweet.
Driving the friggin' Jeep or whatever, that remote control car around in the mall or department store or something.
Well,
right?
it's in the mall because it's in a giant skyscraper.
Doesn't he actually do a jump over a water fountain and he can't touch the water, but he does it?
That's in the first one. He's in the pink car in the first one.
Oh, pink car. No, but he was in another vehicle in the second one.
He was in another vehicle in the second one. I think you might be right. I think he did do over the water fountain. But he had like the fucking...
Yeah, exactly. I remember that. Yeah, he did the whole Rambo.
And he had like
spoof.
the bow and arrow stuff, like, and he was like kicking ass because he was sick and tired of being a pussy. I was like, man, that's awesome. A little bit of character progression, especially because from the first one. So okay, so when you get introduced to Gizmo, he's just a mogwai, and there's rules. Okay, so this Chinese Curioso owner, meets Billy's dad.
Yeah. Is it Randall?
Billy Randall?
No,
Randall's his name. Yeah, that's right.
Randall Peltzer.
That's right, Peltzer. Yeah, and so he's like, oh, I really, really want this Mogwai, and he's like, Mogwai's not for sale.
No.
Mogwai's not for sale, and he's just like, come on, man, like, let me have it. And he's just like, 2 rules.
3 rules.
3 rules. Oh, that's right. There's no sunlight.
No
water.
Bright light will hurt him. Sunlight will kill him.
Yeah.
No water, not even the drink.
No water at all. And
never feed after midnight.
Ever feed him after midnight.
Which has never made sense because every moment of the day is after midnight.
Right. And another thing I thought of too is because we mentioned the snow.
Yes.
There was a scene of about 60 or 70 of them just strolling through the snow.
Right.
Wouldn't they also be wet? Like, wouldn't that also be, like, I mean, I know we're talking about more solid water, because we're talking about snow.
Yeah.
But the time zone thing is always the one...
That's always, like...
Every time someone brings it up, like, because, like, for me, I'm just like, it's in the movie, okay, that's fine. But when somebody says time zones, I'm like, yeah, no, I get it. I understand where you're going with this. Don't.
Yeah.
Don't
But it's like,
push
okay,
this.
don't feed after midnight for how long? When can I start feeding him again?
Yeah, exactly.
Because 11 p.m. is still after midnight from the night before. You know what I mean? Like,
or 11 a.m. 11 a.m.
Well, even p.m. is after midnight. Like, everything is always after midnight.
That's right. Yeah, there is always an after midnight, right? Yeah. And it's just vague enough too, right?
Yeah. So I mean...
But yeah, so those are the 3 rules.
Yeah.
Light will hurt him, sunlight will kill him. That's right.
And of course all 3 happen.
Well, when you watch a movie as an adult, you go... Well, if none of this happens, then what's the fucking point of the movie?
Yeah.
Like, if you watch the whole movie, and the whole movie was Billy and Gizmo hanging out, having a grand old time, and then that's it. How would you feel about this movie?
it'd be pretty pointless.
You would be like, huh.
Well,
I saw this in the theater.
He was cute.
He was cute. It almost feels like if nothing happens, it would be like that weird, like, remember the show Perfect Strangers?
Sounds really familiar to me.
Just that, like, buddy comedy where, like, one guy's a human, the other's a mogwai, and because of that, there's a little bit of a butting heads because two different people, but everything gets rectified in 22 minutes. Perfect Strangers was the one where, like, you had the regular dude, and then his cousin Balky was from a weird island, and he
is really ringing bells.
Yeah, so Bronson Pinchot played him.
Oh,
and it was the same character he played, like, in Beverly Hills Cop. He's like, Ockwell!
Yeah.
But he wasn't as gay, but he was still, like, huge accent or whatever. Remember that? Yeah. So we kind of like that, where, like, because Mogwai is so different, Gizmo has got all these different customs, right? Yeah. Right? So, but yeah, so, like, all of these things had to happen, right? But it's like the initial build-up, too, is because, you know, I mean, like, Gizmo's super cute, right? I do think it's funny how it's like, here, son, here's this huge responsibility pet for you. Yeah. I'm going to go.
It's not even a dog. It's an animal no one's ever seen. Here's what you got to do with it. Good luck.
Yeah. I don't even really know much about this thing other than you don't... light is not good. Sunlight will kill it. Don't get it wet. Don't get it wet, and don't feed him after midnight. But don't ask me the specifics about that last one there. Just don't do it, right? And then he leaves. He goes to do this conference, or no, the
invention conference.
Invention conference.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, well, so he just fucks off, right? Whatever.
He's this teenage kid with this.
And then within minutes, he gets him wet.
Yeah. Minutes.
It's like, I think it was literally the next scene.
Yeah.
You see him knock over the water, and it's on him, and he's just like, ah! You know, like, all these things are popping off him, and you're just like, oh, shit, right? And it doesn't set in, because now you're just like, oh, there's, like, you know, 5 more cute Mogwai, right?
Yeah.
5 or 6. I was trying to do the count earlier, and I couldn't remember. Ultimately, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I think it was 6 because... 6... Because, like, 4 get killed almost right away. Oh, sorry. Anyway, so they get wet. Now there's more of them, right? And for the most part, they're all kind of cool, except for Stripe, who's got the little bit of a mohawk.
Yeah.
And I remember when they called him Stripe, I was like, oh, that's cool.
He's the bad guy.
And you can tell because he does a lot of this.
Yeah.
You're like, into the camera, like Gizmo goes like this, like, oh, like, really, like, hey, you know, like, hey, Billy, you know, and then Stripe is just like, I'm gonna fucking kill you first chance I get, you know. That's a pretty good impression.
That was really good. I want to see a whole camcast of just that.
Yeah, just this, like, oh, hey, Billy, and then, oh, I'm Stripe, I'm gonna kill you. Anyway, so, but right away, like, and they do a good job of setting that up. Like, right away, you're just like, yeah, he's a bad guy, right? Like, there's nothing cool about him. And even Billy, like, kind of knows it, too, but he's just kind of like, well, I mean, like, they're pets, right? He's still thinking of it, like, in that pet thing. But it's also interesting how immediately there's also, like, Gizmo is a step above the new ones. Yes. Immediately, because Gizmo's on his bed, hanging out with him. They're in a box. Which, you know, even the more I watch it, I'm still just like, I can kind of understand why Stripe's got a little bit of a stick up his ass about this arrangement here. Like, you know, I mean, he is a dick. Let's face it. But I mean, if he could vocalize and was just like, well, how come we don't get a nice bed? I mean, we don't even get a fucking blanket.
Yeah, we got a box.
Gizmo gets a fucking blanket. He gets to sleep with you. Sure thing, pal. Right? So, you know, right away. And then almost immediately, you just know that he's going to...
he loses control and they start eating.
Yeah, but the part that, I said, I forgot was that, like, so he, you know, has the young guy that is, you know, into this kind of stuff, Corey Feldman, young Corey Feldman. The one part that always struck me as kind of weird was, like, and even now, it was just like, oh, like, you brought him to the high school science teacher.
Yeah.
He brought the one to the high school science teacher to let him take a look at it, which, I mean, I know that's not in the list of 3 rules, but it just seems weird that, like, I guess the only real issue I have is how everyone is so flippant with such a weird, almost interdimensional character. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, no one's ever seen anything like Mogwai. And I think they actually say in the second one that the Mogwai aren't officially of Earth, like, or they're like kind of like a hobbit, where like Earth moved on beyond them, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I remember correctly, I think in the book, the motion picture for the second book that I was talking about, if I remember correctly, they talk about how he's from a different dimension, type of thing.
But they don't really. I mean, it's kind of hinted, but
yeah, it's hinted.
I would love it. Like if a third movie happened, I would love to see an actual origin of the Mogwai.
I don't think so, because then it kind of reminds me of Kung Fu Panda 3, where, you know, you had Po as the only panda,
Yeah.
but then by Kung Fu Panda 3, they're everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, I feel like it also kind of robbed the magic of it. Like, if they hint at it, I think that's great. But what I was getting at is my problem is that they're still acting like these are like animals and pets, but they're not looking at it like, we don't know what these things are capable of.
Mm-hmm.
I've already got them wet, so I've already fucked up once.
Yeah. As far as you know, the 3 rules could just be the 3 rules that grandfather knew.
That's right.
I mean,
you know, but even just something like he spilled the water on him, and then it was just kind of like, oh, okay, well, I guess I got a couple more pets to play with.
Yeah.
I'll just throw them in a box. That's fine. No worries there. But there's no like, oh fuck, like I kind of.
you don't know what they could do.
I gotta be really careful now.
Like trace his hand, you can shoot lasers out of his eyes.
Yeah.
But you don't know, or shoot fireballs out of his butt.
You know, or maybe like when the moon hits a certain apex, you know, during the month, all of a sudden now, instead of like cute and cuddly, they've got claws, and they're gonna start like clawing stuff or teething or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's the only issue that I have where nobody goes. Like even the high school scientist who's supposed to be the smart guy is still just like, I don't know, just fucking stick a needle in him. Get some blood. Look at his blood.
It looks like blood.
Yeah, it looks like blood.
What should I do now? Drop some water on him?
Hey man, don't be mad at me because I stuck you with that needle.
Yeah.
Even though I told you it wouldn't hurt, and it did. It's just the carelessness, is I guess.
Exactly.
What it is.
Yeah. Gizmo was voiced by Howie Mandel.
I knew that. I knew that. Because, also, I'm not surprised, but I knew that because I'm a huge Howie Mandel fan.
Yeah. So
much so that, like, I've seen a bunch of his stand-up. And,
he's a great stand-up.
Oh, he's so good. He's so fucking good. I even, like, I watched shows because he's in it. Like, I watched the Howie Mandel talk show, which is actually pretty good, considering it was daytime. I think he would have done better if it was nighttime.
Yeah.
But they were smart because it's not like Howie Mandel was a huge name.
No.
He was a huge star in the 80s and early 90s. I mean, Bobby's World?
Bobby's World.
Bobby's World.
Yeah.
Bobby! They spoofed Die Hard in Bobby's World.
I love Bobby.
And he was barefoot.
Yeah.
So, you know. But yeah, like I said, the flippant nature of how they reacted to something that you've never seen before. So then when he finally feeds them after midnight because because Stripe chewed through the fucking clock, and then you get the gross cocoons.
Yeah.
Oh.
Those slimy web egg looking things.
Oh man, like, God, like that's and right up until that point, I was like they do such a great job of setting the stage. And then as soon as you see the cocoons, then you're like, this is not going to be good. Like, there's no way this is going to be good. Just trying to think. The one that was at the school, what did he eat?
The guy left a sandwich or something inside the cage.
That's right. Yeah, and it was.
And then when he gets out, he's got it on for that teacher.
Well, yeah.
You stab me?
Oh, fucking right. And he's literally like, hey, man, don't worry about it, it won't hurt. And immediately he's like, ow! It fucking hurt, you asshole! So, yeah, of course. He was the one. There was two people that I was like, you get what's coming to you.
Yeah.
So like even later, and he so stupid too. It really made me mad. Michelle said the same thing when it's underneath the table or the desk.
Yeah.
And he's got the chocolate bar, and he's like blindly sticking his hand underneath. Can't see it, but he knows it's there, and he's just like, "Hey man, like, hey, real sorry about earlier when I." Got so mad at me about the needle, and it's like eating from his hand. He's just like, yeah, that's cool. And then it's just like crunch. You're like, well, you had that coming, you stupid asshole.
Yeah.
And then that Mrs. Deagle, when they sent her flying through her house.
Yeah.
She was a fucking bitch.
She was.
She was a horrible, horrible person.
Yeah.
Not that I ever want people to die, but some people do deserve it. Especially in movies. But, so, the change, though, like, the special effects for the Mogwai are great because they're super cute.
Yeah.
Like, even Stripe is cute when he's not scowling.
Yeah.
Which I think he only not scowled once. I think it was, like, right when he was born, I think he was happy to be alive, and then after that, it was like, hate the world. What is it Pantera says? Fuck the world for all it's worth. Every inch of planet Earth. Fuck myself, don't leave me out, don't get involved, don't corner me. But the rest of the words you might not want to hear on the Camcast.
Stripe's just a huge metalhead. I gotta give a shout out to Phoebe Cates.
Oh, yeah.
The first love of my life.
Still one of my loves.
God, she's a beautiful woman. Still is. If you look at recent pictures, she doesn't do anything anymore, but...
You know what I love about her, though, is that, like, she's a beautiful woman, but she's not in that, like... I wouldn't say she's drop-dead gorgeous. But at the same time, I would probably kill somebody to sleep with her. Like, if that makes any sense.
I mean...
It's like, I put her in that kind of, like, that Jennifer Connelly stage where... Like, attractive. Like, she's a good-looking woman. But there's something about her that just elevates her. You know?
I don't know if it's like the girl next door thing.
It's partly that.
Because I thought, like...
It's definitely partly that.
I'm a kid watching these movies. I was like, she's so pretty in this.
But I felt the same way when I was...
What's...
Go ahead, say it.
Hmm?
Go ahead.
What?
Say it.
Drop Dead Fred.
I wasn't going to say that, but yes.
You're going to say Richmond High, right? Yeah, pretty in that. But was Drop Dead Fred...
Hold on. Can we just nod like dirtbags about how she was topless in that movie? I got to see her fucking tits in that movie. Anyway.
I didn't see that till later on, actually.
No, me neither. I didn't see it till later on. But Drop Dead Fred was awesome, too.
That's an awesome movie. I'd watched that movie so much just because she was in it. Yeah. I was like, what are these feelings I'm having?
Yeah.
Oh, why did you have to disappear?
Anyway.
So shout out to her.
Shout out to her.
Always beautiful.
Shout out to everybody in this movie. Everyone's really good in this movie.
Everybody.
You know?
So like I was 5, maybe 6 years old. I didn't watch this in 84, obviously. It was maybe 86, 87. I was sleeping over at my nanny and papa was at their condo. They used to live over by the Thunder Bay Auditorium. Okay. And there was a corner store down the road.
Oh, wow.
So whenever I slept over, my nanny would take me to rent a movie.
Naturally.
Yeah. So, you're looking at all the covers, because as a kid you don't read the back, you just look at the covers. Yeah. Yeah, because who wants to read? And there's that white and red cover with Gizmo. Exactly. And I was just like, he's so cute. How do you not want to watch that movie? That's how I watched that movie. I did the same thing. Mom, can we rent this movie? Come on, can we rent this movie? Yeah, fine, we'll rent this movie. Was a mistake. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't in the sense that it's my favorite movie of all time, one of them, but it was still just one of those, like, woo. But my nanny and I put it on. We were watching it, and then as soon as the transformation started happening, well, like I was crying. She was laughing at me because I was so scared. Oh wow! See, I didn't. She turned it off eventually. I didn't cry. I think what it was Nightmare on Elm Street toughened me up. You were way more ballsy as a young man than I was. But I think it's because I got toughened up a little bit by Nightmare on Elm Street. Not a lot, but just enough where I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna watch this. I realized as a young kid that even though you were small, you had way bigger balls than me. When I was laying wide awake on your floor looking at the ceiling thinking the blob was going to land on me.
And I had already watched that movie.
You're sleeping away.
I had already watched that movie like 2 or 3 times. That's another one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
But I agree, though. It's funny because it is quite a tonal shift, though.
Yeah, big time.
Because it's like a cutesy Christmas movie, and then the pods hit. And the second the pods hit, I was like, oh. Like, even as a kid, I was just like, holy shit. And even as, like, when I just recently rewatched it, and I was just like, oh, yeah, I forgot how, like, gross and organic that they looked. Like, even, like, they show that Corey Feldman's, like, touching the goo on it. I'm like, why would you touch it? And he wipes his hands off, and I'm like, fucking burn your hands. Mm-hmm. Burn your hands in your pants.
You know what's funny? Steven Spielberg produced this.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and originally in the screenplay that they were going to shoot, there was no Stripe. Gizmo became Stripe.
Oh, yes, yes.
And it was Spielberg who went, no,
I remember that, that's right.
We want to keep this guy here. His reactions are going to make everything good. Plus, he's super cute. He's going to sell toys.
I remember that reading that later because they were talking about. I read an article about how because they've been trying to get the third one off the ground for the longest time.
Yeah.
And they actually like admitted that the second one it killed the franchise because they went too far the one side.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the problems with getting the third one off the ground was that they were trying to get it.
Back,
but they were trying to go too far to the darker side.
Yeah.
So then it's just like, well, no, that you can't do that. You have to have like
that
right middle,
happy medium.
Right?
Yeah.
And like the special effects though, like if you woke up and all of a sudden you had that pod in your house, you wouldn't just be like, well, I guess I better go to school or work or whatever. You'd be like, my day's fucked right now, right? Mm-hmm. So again, like, it's weird that those show up and Billy's just like, Mom, this is weird, eh? Well, I gotta go to the bank, so have fun doing whatever you're doing. Gingerbread cookies, you know I love them. Gotta go to the bank, don't want to be late. Maybe don't check out my room for no reason. Stay away from it. But when they do actually turn and when they come out, they look horrifying.
They're friggin' horrifying.
Like, they're iconic. Like, we talked about the Nightmare Before Christmas being iconic. Gremlins are iconic. It's Gizmo and it's the Gremlins that are iconic, but they look so good.
Yeah.
And, like, that first initial scene where his mom is getting attacked by them, like, at first it's the whole mischievous aspect. She's like, what the fuck? And then finally she starts to see them and they don't really realize that she's seeing them. And then... the kill scene where, like, she puts them in the blender. That's gross. The microwave one was gross.
Yep.
You know? I also love that Billy, like, they have a sword, and Billy kills him with the sword, like, right into the fire. That was really cool. And I was trying to do the math, so, like, there was 3 there, 4 including Stripe. So it would have been 6, yeah. Mm-hmm. 5 and then Gizmo, because the 5 came off of him. That's right. Okay. So they're essentially down 2, because Billy doesn't kill the one in the school.
Yeah.
He gets away. And then Stripe does that whole walk to the YMCA thing. But I love it because he looks at Billy like as he's getting out of the house window, like, fuck you. You ain't gonna stop me. Mm-hmm. You know? And I was just like, oh, that's really cool. And they looked really cool. Like, he looked really cool as a gremlin.
Yeah. With
the stripe of hair, which he still retained, which I thought was awesome. But I also liked how each of them all looked like gremlins, but they all looked different. Mm-hmm. Like, even in that huge shot in the theater where they filled the theater, there's distinct different ones all the way through. And even there, they're playing it a little bit more for laughs per se. Like, they have their Gremlins theme song and stuff like that. But it's still just dark enough where you're like, okay, these people could die here. You know, like even the neighbor, where they drive the fucking plow truck through his house.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he could have died there. They could have killed him, you know? Again, though, when Billy is... Yeah, before Stripe goes to the YMCA, though, Billy's, like, talking to the cops, and he's like, look, you don't understand, like, this is big, this is bad, like, this is happening. And they show him, or he shows him Gizmo, And they're just like, it's a toy. Like, watch out for this. And you're just like, what the fuck? Like, you've never seen anything like this at all. And as far as toys go, this is the craziest toy you've ever seen. I mean, sure, they've been drinking, but the reaction is literally just like, watch out for this guy.
Yeah.
This thing here is going to bite your hand off. Better lock him up. And you're like, fuck. And then, like I said, so when it leads up to that scene, which still is horrifying to me. Like, when he jumps in the water and sinks down, I was like,
oh yeah, and then
when I mentioned that I had the book on tape, right? And they get to that scene and they actually like do this weird like sound effect thing. I hear that sound effect when I watch this movie, and I'm just like, oh. And I mean, I've watched the movie so many times. I know how it ends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know there's a sequel.
Yeah.
I know exactly how it ends. I know that very few people actually die, but I'm still just like, holy fuck, because it's so crazy. Hey, don't get him wet. He just jumped in a fucking pool. Mm-hmm. And then they show that scene where like 80 of them are coming down the fucking street, and it's just like, holy shit. And most of the stuff that they do in the montage is played for laughs, but it's still, there's that underlying sense of seriousness, because you're like, well, okay, now all the lights are green? Mm-hmm. Yeah, people could die here.
Yeah.
You know? Oh, man. Actually, definitely like this movie more than Nightmare Before Christmas. We're talking about this one longer than the other one.
Yeah, well...
No offense or anything, Nightmare Before Christmas, but...
A lot more happens in Gremlins, though.
But yeah, we're also talking about an hour and a half.
And a lot happens in the movie. Yeah.
Well, I mean, fuck, like, even when we get to the scene in the mall, where Stripe gets out of the... Because they end up... They fuck the boiler room up.
Yep.
The boiler, and they lock them all in. Stripe gets free. So now Stripe's got to figure out where to find water so he can make more, right? And then they're coming after him. That whole scene in the mall is really cool, like with that water fountain. Mm-hmm. And he's playing cat and mouse with them, and he's like, man, it's so fucking great. It's so great. I even like the part where like they actually have a bit of a character arc for Gizmo, because he spent most of the movie shitting his pants, being scared.
Yeah.
Right?
Then he heroes up.
And then he heroes up, gets into a fucking pink Corvette before, and he didn't even give a fuck. He wasn't like, does it come in black? No, he was like, I'm driving this thing. Drives it around, and you get some of those cool shots when he's doing this. Woo! You know?
Yeah. The animatronics are so good.
You know? And just when you think that all is lost because, like, yeah, sure, like, Stripe's a little bloodied up and beaten, he's crawling into the fucking fountain, and you're just like, holy shit, and he's starting to bubble, and it's starting to, like, you're like, oh, fuck, it's gonna happen, and then jump over the fountain, hits the fucking curtain cord or whatever, pulls it open. Sunlight, direct hit, and one of the coolest death scenes I've seen with real special effects in my entire life.
Yeah.
Horrifying. It still is one of those...
Melting away.
Oh, God, it's so gross.
It's nasty.
It is gross. It's like, it's right up there with the fucking final shot of The Fly, where he's like, he went through it again.
Yeah.
And now he's like, weird mix of Brundle Fly or whatever. Yeah. Like, he's even worse now, and he just looks horrifying.
Fly was gross, and then The Thing. John Carpenter's Thing.
Yeah, The Thing was also gross.
That has
like, yeah, but all this, like, practical effects.
Yeah.
And, oh, man.
I miss those days of practical effects.
And then the most bittersweet ending when the Chinese dude shows up and he's like...
I told you weren't responsible.
Like, yeah, you weren't responsible enough.
Yep.
So, here we go. And you're just like...
taking him back. Oh, then you get the goodbye.
Bye, Billy.
Boy, Billy.
Just like... And you lip out and everything, and you're just like... I mean, he's not wrong.
Gizmo. He's not wrong at all.
I think you had him for 3 days and you got him wet. If that.
1 week and your town's blowing up to pieces.
Exactly. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, at least like in the sequel, they touch upon all of that.
Yeah.
All of it. And they don't play it for laughs in that regard, so, which I liked. I liked that there was just like, it wasn't just like, oh, hey, I'm in a new town now, you know?
Yeah.
But fuck, I love this movie so much. Like, I can't speak about this movie enough without smiling and just laughing and just being like a kid again, where I'm just like, oh, this is so great. Like you think, like, if you had an animal like that, you would be just as responsible.
Like, but I mean, I love the movie, but I also love that, like, one of my earliest childhood memories that involved a movie is that one with my grandmother.
Oh, man, yeah.
So, like, whenever I think of Gremlins, boom, I'm back there.
That's how I am with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because that's the first movie that Grammy ever took me to.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, same way, like, I think of that movie, and I think of my dad opening the paper, and we were there same time. We saw the ad in the newspaper.
That was a fucking huge ad, too.
Huge ad, like almost the whole page. And it was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and at the bottom it was the four of them, like
right out of the...
Doing their
you saw that one? The one I saw.
Oh, no. It was the sewer one.
Yeah, the sewer one with the poking out.
Yeah,
their heads are there, and you're just like, holy shit.
Yeah. That's right. The sewer one was the
first one.
That is
such a great poster.
Oh, I love that poster.
That is such a great poster.
I would buy that and hang on my wall.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Like,
so
fuck,
good.
Man, that's amazing.
So good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Gremlins.
Oh.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And it is a Christmas movie.
Yeah, and anyone who says it isn't, come at me, bro.